Well, at the end of the day, whether you're selling a product or providing a service, real connects to real, heart connects to heart. And if you can just open your heart and share truth, it will connect with somebody, it will resonate with somebody. And if that's honesty and truth coming from a sincere and honest place can connect with somebody else, that's going to make them move, that's going to make them respond.
Hello and welcome again to Video Storytelling for Community Engagement, a podcast for content creators. I'm Miranda O'Connor, co-founder of The Art of Storytelling, and in this episode, you'll hear from our director, James O'Connor, as he talks with Andrew James, the co-founder of Streams Community Hub, a non-profit organization focused on youth development in the creative arts in Shelburne, Ontario. Andrew shares their vision and contemplates the impact that content has had on their organization. And I want to urge everyone to please have a look at our social channels. The Art of Storytelling's YouTube channel has been flying under the radar, and there's a bunch of really great productions there, including 2 beautiful documentaries, The Edge and Between Worlds, as well as some insights into content marketing, including video versions of these podcasts. Now let me get out of the way and hand you over to Andrew and James.
So let you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So again, Andrew James. In high school, arts was my thing. I had 2 different directions that I could have gone. I was really good in graphic design, and I was great in theater. So I think both of those passions is like what I'm doing right now. Right. So okay. I'll fast forward and we'll probably go back and unpack some of that stuff. But Town Tees is our apparel decoration company. And that's where I get to be creative and do my graphic design side of things and printing, designs on T-shirts pretty much. Okay. And then Streams Community Hub is our registered charity where I get to be that dramatic arts and the other side of creativity, and just allowing young people to have creative arts experiences, doing things like dramatic arts, circus arts, culinary arts, and all that other painting and fun things like that. So
basically the stuff that you don't do if you do normal school, or like I know that the schools these days offer more programs like that, but it's kind of like this is the stuff that's not being catered to. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe some of the schools dabble in some of the things, and where we take kind of like a deep dive into it. Yeah.
My kids are new to the Ontario school system here, and one of the criticisms that we have is that, or that they have, because they come home and they tell us this, is that, the facilities are great. Like they have everything. The maker space is awesome, and they get to go in there. But like you said, diving deep. They don't really have the time, or the quality time, I should say, to really, get into some of these things. Take a long time, as you know, to get the reward back out of it. You can spend 8 hours doing something. My son does music production, as you know, and he's in his room, and you're like, oh, get off the screen, but he will spend 4, 5, 6 hours on one music track.
Right. Yeah,
and school's not an environment for that. So I applaud what you're doing, and you do this with your wife, right?
Yes, she's one of the best partners ever. I kind of had a big dream, I want to do this creative arts program, school, and then she says, okay, so step 1, and kind of breaks things out, micro managing the big picture. So I always say it's the best thing for marriages.
Oh, really?
To be able to work with your spouse, it's like it makes you have to get along. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll have your differences and you need those differences, right? But it helps you to kind of work things out, think differently, have different perspectives, and challenge you. So I love it.
Yes. So it's sort of like we'll stay together for the kids, and then it's like we got to stay together for the business.
Exactly.
That's not very big. You know what I mean? But it's totally definitely it's bigger. You know what I mean? Everything becomes bigger than you. So So let's get into your story. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing in the creative arts in the last 3 years or so. So really focus on the dream, as you said. And I'm saying 3 years just to keep it current, but it's probably longer.
Yeah. Well, we moved to Shelburne in 2015. And having a background in the arts, and also I was at that time currently a youth pastor. So I was working with youth every day. And because of my background, I was using arts as a means to kind of, engage young people. We built a little recording studio in an office at the church. And so kids would come in and, make music, record stuff, and put stuff up on SoundCloud or what have you. So when I moved to Shelburne, of course, I have that filter on, looking for what can youth do and that's creative, right? And of course, there's hockey and, soccer and sports like that, baseball. But, for me, I was the 6 foot black kid in high school that didn't play basketball. You know what I mean? So I was looking for,
You're an anomaly.
Exactly. So, I guess my heart, was directed towards the non-athletic kids. Yeah. And so I think we quickly identified that. And there was a theater company, they're out of Dundalk, but they were doing productions in Shelburne, LP stage productions. And so I was like, hey, you know what? Let me get involved with what they're doing. They were doing a production of Oliver. And so I said, hey, I'd like to be a part of that. And I auditioned and got a role. And I was a part of that production. So it was like musicals, it was like singing, it was dancing, it was acting, all that kind of stuff. And Akila, our oldest daughter, she was, I think 5 at the time, and she watched the production and then was like, wow, this acting thing is cool. And LP's next production was going to be Lion King Jr. And so that's how she got involved into theater. And then again, like we identified that there needed to be more opportunities for young people to be creative. And so that's how Streams Community Hub, it was already an idea, but then it kind of, it pushed us into making it happen more. And so we started with summer camps. And we actually hired LP Stage Productions to run our Broadway bound program where throughout the week, 1 week, kids learn, sing songs, dance, choreography, and do a full production by the end of the week. Wow. And and then we also had visual arts programs where kids are painting, doing pastels and chalk colors and all those different things. And so, we started with doing those programs. The following year, we included March breaks. We did March break and then summer camp. And over those last 5 years, we realized that we need to do this year round, which was always the vision. And so last year, we acquired a 3,600 square foot space that's being renovated as we speak. And we're aiming to open the doors to that place in a couple of months and begin after school programs, daytime programs, and weekend workshops and year-round programming. So,
And that's exclusively creative arts and exclusively for the kids.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, when parents drop their kids off and they're learning to sew, parents become a little bit envious. I want to learn how to sew. I want to do photography. And so we for sure will have adult programs, whether they're weekend workshops for the parents to do like a crash course or whatever. But our focus is the youth and the arts. Yeah.
That's awesome. But I realized how, for me, I think with kids, and why I'm working with kids is such an appeal to me is that I really just see them as, they're just adults. They're just, I don't teach differently if this is what I'm teaching with photography or whatever. It's exactly the same. It doesn't matter what age you are, you get it. Like my daughter gets it, you know what I mean? And she's out with her cameras and stuff. And my son gets it with the music. So I think it's just a case of, like you said, being able to spend the 6 hours. If you can do that, then of course, anybody will understand. It's a basic technical craft, all right, so let's get into the real meat of things here, and why I wanted to speak to you was because I notice when an organization is doing content. Always has something for people to watch. It might be videos, it might be photography, it might be a podcast, whatever. You guys do a couple of those things, and so I wanted to ask you, what role is that playing in your organization? Like, what you have some specific reason for doing the content that you do, or is it just it's just happening because you're a creative guy? Like, what's the?
No, I think, well, yes, I think one, we're creative and we're really focused on making sure that our aesthetics and our brand looks professional, high quality, right? And appealing. Because I think people subconsciously connect to things that look good. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to go to a fast food restaurant if the logo doesn't look clean.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's just one of the things that's innate, that we just want to be clean in what we do. But I think it's so important to like tell stories, people can connect and relate. Like, one of our very first videos that we did, and our good friend Tristan Barracks, he does videography and like in cinematography, like yourself. And he was like, "You got to tell the story. You got to tell the story." So he brings the camera over and sets it up, and we do this very, very first video before we even started any camps, and we just shared the vision of what we want to do and what our desire is, and we put that on social media, and it got like, I mean, I don't even know how many, like, I think it's probably getting to like 20, 30,000 views right now. I don't know, but it was just really, people start sharing it, and because they connected with the story, right? They connected with my passion and my heart for wanting to use arts as a tool to impact young people's lives. And so I think it's just really important as an organization to tell your story, and share what your service is, or what your answer is, or whatever it is that you're providing to people.
And
so
it's amazing because people don't do that. Like when you
Yeah.
said, we just did this video where we sat down, we spoke about our vision, and it was so successful. That's the video that people don't do. People they do the promotional video. They do they do something that's very specific. This is my call to action. I bet you that first video you didn't have a call to action. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, no. At the ending, we were like, oh yeah, maybe we should have these. We'll do something, right? So it was like and really the call to action was share the video and let people know about streams, and they did that. So but no, we weren't thinking about that at first.
Yes, yeah. That's awesome. And so from there, what's your ecosystem look like? Because I know you guys do a podcast. I want to talk about that. I know it's not necessarily super related to streams, or maybe it is, but tell me a little bit about you're doing video. You're what's important to you? Like, what's the mix?
Yeah. Well, Tristan would always say to us, you got to videotape everything, right? And so even as we're doing renovations in the space right now, I'm trying as I go in there just to capture, little pieces of videos, because, obviously I'm experiencing it, but we got to be able to let other people experience that journey from concrete space to walls. And so, we try when we're, doing launches or have some kind of campaign or something coming up, we try to do some video to share that, because I think video just speaks better than just words on a paper or in a post. But I don't know. We could be a little bit more intentional. We're not like super intentional with it. I think we could definitely do better. The podcast that we do, it's because of my background. Like I mentioned before, I'm a ordained minister, so licensed minister. So I do weddings. And when we were working with young people, of course, we start working with kids, and then we start working with young adults, and then young adults start getting married, right? And so we got a passion for. Juliana and I have an amazing love story. We've been married now, going on our 13th year, but we have 7 years before we got married of this kind of I hate you, I love you, I hate you kind of thing. And me getting engaged to somebody else and then finding my way back to her. But and so I think I felt like we became pretty, like, I'll use in quotes, air quotes, experts at relationships. And so as through the years doing marriage counseling and couple counseling, as we're marrying young people, we got super involved in that. And so, we had a Wednesday night group that was with young adults, and we'd always talk about relationships. And anytime we talked about relationships, the place was packed. Like, friends would tell friends, and, everybody wanted to hear about relationships because they felt like we had something important to say. And so young people still were reaching out to us and were like, hey, you should do that. Like, somehow maybe on video, or do this relationship stuff again. And so that's how we started the podcast called Love James. It's a spinoff of, Love Jones, if you remember that movie. And of course, our last name. And so we started that a couple of Valentines ago. I think three Valentine days ago, we started. We're like, we'll just do 8 weeks. And then, we'll come back and do another 8 weeks. And so we tried to do 2 8-week series, if you call it, on relationships on that podcast. And so we're actually getting ready to do another launch for that in February. And I think what it was funny because Shelburne Free Press reached out to us and we're like, hey, we wanted to do an interview with you about your podcast. Then they asked the question, how does that connect with streams? And, we never really thought about it at the time, but Julianne gave an amazing answer. And she's basically saying, like, our bottom line is one, the community. We start with the youth when we try to engage them in the arts, but we know that it takes a family, it takes an ecosystem to really empower a young person. And so if we can help and support with marriages and maybe giving some perspective about relationships to help solidify and strengthen marriages, that will help, reinforce or safeguard the ecosystem for the young child to continue to grow in the best possible way. That's just maybe our perspective or thoughts around it. It's not really solely connected, but they kind of run parallel with each other.
Yeah, well, it's more effective too because you're impacting the life of a child, and that child is going home into an environment that if you've had some sort of and you're meeting the parents too, right? So
100%,
you get an opportunity.
Yeah,
that's cool. Let's talk a little bit about what we touched on the podcast, but one of the things we did for you recently was the monologue competition. I don't know if you want to tell us a little bit about that and how that. Obviously, that was a big production.
Yes.
That went online afterwards for people to watch, but there would have been a lot of promo stuff leading up to it. Just how content fit into that whole idea. I'm curious because I always tell people I've worked a lot with Olympic athletes, and one of the things that they do is they video themselves and they can see themselves, like literally right. And the system is delayed by like 3 seconds or something. So if you're a power lifter or whatever, you do your lift and then you drop it and you're like, whoa, that was intense. And then you look at the screen and it plays back what you did. There's a little bit of a delay so that you can, because a mirror, you'd have to look while you do it.
Right.
And they learn so fast and so much. And, cyclists and swimmers coming off the block and they're looking at every day, they're playing it back in slow-mo. Content as a tool for the kids, as well as what you were doing with it, just putting out and building momentum for the competition.
We watched a Netflix series. It's called Giving Voice, about a monologue competition in the States for young people, and it was December of 2020, and so of course we just experienced the pandemic and.
So this came to you during this new paradigm. Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah,
okay.
And so we knew that we were not going to be able to do March Break Camp. Mm-hmm. And so we thought, how can we still engage young people, give them something to do, and be creative? Right. And so that's how this was birthed. And we're like, we'll do a monologue competition. We'll launch it in March, give them the opportunity to pick some monologues from Canadian playwrights, and memorize them and go through that whole experience. And we felt like, if we made it feel like American Idol, where they can go on stage and, have the little confessional interviews, that it would do something inside of them, that it would make them feel like, this is real. Like I'm a professional, or I'm on my road to becoming professional and I'm on a professional stage. And so the whole experience, the whole, I think, thought behind creating that experience was really to make young people like strive and push themselves and then have that opportunity to get that type of reward, whether they won or not. Just being on that stage is a reward in itself. And make your parents feeling proud and people clapping for you, and you being able to, as you said, watch yourself back and feel proud and feel like, wow. Or we had of course you were there, so that Friday night session where we were able to kind of give them the critique. They were able to then now improve themselves and take that information. They were also able to see other people and maybe learn from those performances and then apply that and then just be better the next day, right? And that's what really I think is about, right? Is just being a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. And so I think at the end of the day, as much as, we had to do a lot of promotion, and because it's kind of a new thing, and I don't think there is anything like that in Dufferin County, we had to kind of share that vision and get schools on board to kind of, do announcements, radio ads, video ads, all that kind of stuff, and promote it. But yeah,
from a content strategy point of view, I thought the day was incredible because not only did, and I'll just to clue our listeners in a little bit, we not only did we film the performances on stage, but we had a separate sort of confessional area, like a green room set up for them, where they could with under lights and stuff with a different camera where they could talk about their experience having done it, what it was like during the training. I thought that the opportunity for us to film, like you said, the day before the training, the last sort of critique session that they got was great. Again, from a content strategy perspective, and this is something that we should discuss after think the dust settles a little bit. But using a lot of that footage, you have this big long production, and you have an unlimited number of 30-second clips. Right. And it's something that in terms of content strategy, I always try to have this conversation. Not talking about your massive thing. I'm talking about just a 3-minute, this is my company. I need to do a founder story or something. We just need a video. I go, you just need a video, but you actually need content for the whole year. Right. What are you doing after the video has run for 3 weeks and that's it? So the monologue competition and all of those different elements of, with the kids, perfect for pulling out, just to continue to, have the narrative of what you're doing running in social media every week or every day. I mean, you've got so much good stuff in there. Right. With you on stage talking to the kids, the green room stuff, the aerials outside, anything, you know what I mean? In terms of now we should look and see, okay, well, there are 12 months in a year. How are we going to slice this up to be the most cost effective and economical with what we've done? Because it's an investment, as you know. So, yeah. And you know what? I know we have to speak about that offline, but please let's start strategizing and putting together some. That's the fun part. Honestly, that's the fun part. You guys did a fantastic job. Like Miranda really took the idea out of our head and helped us. Map it out. Okay, I need this intro. I need this. I need this. I need this. I need this. Right. And it really helped us say, okay, let's get that content out. As much as we had the vision and like we know what we were going for, you guys actualized it, and it was just like you did such an amazing job. It really made it feel awesome. Thank you. Easy for us. So I just wanted to just to say that because there was a lot of moving parts. Right. Yes. Yeah. A lot of moving parts that we put all together. So thank you. Yeah, I think I love the Friday night footage better, and only because you did that. Like you captured everything without stopping it because there was no audience. I love the shots from behind the curtain. Over the shoulder. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. I always said go until they tell you to move, because that's your job, is to get the best shot, the better shot. Right. I always used to tell my team, if I'm in your way, it's a good thing. I'm getting the better shot. You can relax until I move. So, how important has it been, do you think, to tell your story or other stories? And I know you touched on this early on because you talked about the videographer that you were working with. How important is that to any business, do you think? Well, at the end of the day, whether you're selling a product or providing a service, real connects to real, heart connects to heart. And if you can just open your heart and share truth, it will connect with somebody. It will resonate with somebody. And so I think that's at the end of the day what we all want to do. McDonald's, wants to really, I think they want to make money, but they want to put a smile on a kid's face, right? And if that's honesty and truth coming from a sincere and honest place can connect with somebody else, that's going to make them move. That's going to make them respond. And I think, again, for me, I truly believe in the power of the arts to impact young people. That is my one trick. I'm a one-trick pony, I believe that if I have the opportunity to be in front of the camera and just to tell that story, to share how it changed my life, that's what's going to make people say, how it changed your life. I think that's huge, because that's the thing that keeps people tuned in. Is this life changing or not? It could change your life in a very small way or in a massive way, but if it's not significant, then I'm switching off. And I think that's probably why videos like the one you talk about, which didn't have it it was more, you almost get more success on videos nowadays that are like, look, I don't know if this is going to work, but stick with me and I'll let you know. That's way more engaging than this works. You must use this every time. So I think people are realizing that, and that building this sort of ongoing conversation with your audience is more powerful than the one video that the one we're gonna nail it.
yeah. It's gonna go viral. This is the one. Yeah.
So what are you working on now? I know you've got your new location.
Yep.
And that's probably taking up all of the mental bandwidth. Although if you're like anything like me, you've got room for all sorts of ideas percolating, right?
Really trying to focus in on getting the space open and filling up our programs, connecting with creatives, and coming up with ideas for them to do programs with us. And really that's where it's at right now. And of course, growing Talentees, really helping to develop that into like a really fully fledged social enterprise, so that we can support the work of streams as well as impact and give young people job experience and things like that. But that's really where our razor focus is right now. And of course, as we talk about the monologue competition, now that's coming back into our head again, because we got to get going on some promotion and marketing and timelines for that. But that's awesome. Just if there's any advice you have for nonprofits like yours, like in terms of telling your story. And we're such a visual society now, and especially with Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and whatever the medium is, it's extremely important to, I guess, be in front of everybody's eyes, letting them know and just reminding them of what you are, what you have to offer, what your service is, what your answer is. And it's got to look good, it's got to look appealing, it's got to look exciting, it's got to look clean. And nowadays, it doesn't take much. Like we were talking, your phone is doing really good video nowadays, right? And, it doesn't take much to really get clean lighting and or get one light so you can get a clean shot. And so just creating content and putting it out there. Gary V, if you guys know Gary Vaynerchuk, he just says just put it out there. Just put it out there. Just keep on putting it out there.
Well, it's so funny because I'm the worst at taking that advice, right?
Yeah.
But, thank you very much for spending Saturday morning with me. I know you probably have better things to do.
This is awesome.
And and I hope we'll have that conversation, content strategy, and maybe we can come back again, in a couple of months' time, and you can break down how that's going and how that's worked out, and just keep in touch. And it'd be awesome.
For sure. Thank you for the opportunity. This is great.
All right.